as we welcome in the creator of the Kings Beat and our 1320 Kings Insider, James Ham. Hammer, you got any thoughts on this John Morant situation?
Yeah, it's nuts, man. You have to, if you're representing a city, you're representing a league, you're representing all your teammates, all this stuff. You have to be cognizant of that the whole time. And this is just like it's a bad look. Like I've seen some really bad situations here in Sacramento with players and like their hanger-ons, or their family members that are literally, aunt and uncle making six figures to be your security. Like, and they come into the arena and push people around, and they're not nice to people, and they don't like the food in one area, so they're going to go eat in the media room. Like, there are people on, I wouldn't say every team because this team right here doesn't have a lot of that going on. Um, but there are this happens a lot more than you would think in the league where players just can't say no. They've got too many people around them or they don't want to say no. Like with Ja, it seems like he's surrounding himself with the wrong type of people who don't have his best interest at heart, and that's a problem. And I've seen it countless times. Like I've talked about Ben McLemore, like even when he came back for the second time, he had 25 ticket requests that he's filling out for every single game. And for a player, that means that he literally had 25 envelopes and he's begging each of his teammates for extra tickets because every player gets a certain amount of allotted tickets. Once he got done with begging free tickets from everybody, he would have to send a locker room attendant with his credit card to go pay for the remainder of the tickets, which sometimes could be, 20 or 30 tickets. And of course, your friends have been Macklemore, you certainly wouldn't sit in like upstairs. Like you got to have good seats, and like he's doing this during pregame. Like at 5:45, we walk into the locker room, and this dude's sitting here acting as a ticket broker instead of focusing on a game. And look, teams can only do so much to tell somebody like, hey, we got to clean this up. We got to figure this whole situation out. But at the end of the day, it really does rely on it comes down to the player and them growing up and understanding what they're doing and how much of a distraction it's become, not just for everyone else, but for themselves as well, while they're supposed to be focused on a game. And, there's all kinds of stories I could tell you, but, players who have, five different guys living in their house that all have credit cards and all have, Mercedes leased out in their name. All the credit cards are in their name, and they got people running around and spending all their money all day long and doing stupid stuff. Like there is a
Lord, that
like
wasn't. I hope that wasn't Ben McLemore.
no,
Lord,
I mean Ben, sure, Ben was part of that. Like I'm sure that Ben, like he's playing in where'd he go? China right now. I think he's playing because he probably needs to. And 65% of all NBA players are bankrupt by the time by 4 years after retirement. Like it's because they don't know how to work with their money. They're not taught some of these basics, and then they have people that they just can't say no to, whether it's they're guilted or whether people come up to them with like crazy restaurant ideas, whatever it might be. They get themselves into all kinds of trouble off the court financially and just with the whole vibe around certain players. And it's hard to watch because a lot of these guys, even Ja, he's 23 years old. Like, does he know how to say no to his friends yet? Does he know how to tell his friends like to knock it off? He should, but we're expecting a lot from a young guy, and we can go back to when we're 23 and the stupid things we did. We're just not under the same microscope that he's under.
The other thing about that too, when you talk about the basketball aspect of it, is 2.5 years, for a number of different teams. Damian, James, now you too. You've heard me talk about teams take on the identity of their leader. And look at Memphis. Memphis, everybody out to get them. Public anyone they want to fight everybody. Dylan Brooks. If they're at the locker room, if Ja Morant was the leader that we hope he ends up being at one point, if he was that right now, Dylan Brooks wouldn't have been doing half the stuff he's gotten away with at this point. Like that, I'm looking from the outside looking in. I could be completely wrong because people say stuff on the outside looking in talking about the Kings. It looks like Memphis is unhinged Taylor Jenkins don't have control over that. Taylor Jenkins either feeding into it or just trying to hold on for dear life. They look like a mess. They fighting every other night. They getting in altercations. They've now lost 8 of 9. Now Jaws is, who knows what's going on with his mental, if he's locked in and all this other stuff. Look like a mess. This is where you need a leader. This is where you need somebody that, when you have somebody that you can rely on that's dependable as a rock to fall back on and say, this is our identity. This is how we go about things. That's where you go. And they don't have that in Memphis because Ja running around talking about people capping on his people.
I'll say this: they've got Steven Adams, and like I think all of us out there, we've also had our big friend that you bring with you when you're in a tight spot, and he's always acted as the enforcer. But I'll tell you, the moment that that something happens to him, which of course it happened on the court where he's out, but like the moment that he gets into an altercation and those guys don't step up to support him like he has every time, he's gonna want out of there. And that it's a bad situation. I mean, there are ways to clear this up and to like sort of rehab the situation. But I think it's probably going to take some time, and it's going to take some moves by the front office. Not now at the deadline, but like this summer, they're going to have to really put a support system in place that can handle some of the issues that they have here. Because it's not good, like again, like, and it's not just that these things happen in Sacramento, they happen in Memphis. I remember listening to like a radio report years ago that Allen Iverson at one point had like 13 cars repossessed on the same day that were all, people that were just driving his cars around and stuff. Like this happens a lot in the league. There is a lot of these guys come from areas where, they didn't have money growing up. Their friends didn't have money. They try to take care of everybody. They try to take care of family members. And it's like the incredible feel good stories of, these guys buying their mom's houses and stuff. That's great. But the other stories that we see on a daily basis when we're there are ugly and frustrating. And like, even at one point with Ben specifically, I had gone to media relations like twice and said, hey, like, look, are you guys stepping in? Is someone stepping in to help him? Because I see like a young kid who is not equipped for what's happening to him. And it's becoming a huge distraction, but also like there's no way for him to get out of it. Like he needs help. Somebody has to step in. And their point of view is always like, look, we're going to do the best we can. But at the end of the day, it's his money, it's his decisions, all that stuff. And it's tough to watch because the game of basketball, there is like a hidden underbelly behind it that's just very, very ugly.
Well, let's transition here. It's not directly to the Kings, but it is very Kings related. It's something that we haven't gotten to touch on yet, James. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Steph Curry injured over the weekend. He's out multiple weeks. He's likely going to be out, or not likely. He will be out through the All-Star game. So obviously, no one wants to see a star. No one wants to see anyone get injured. No one wants to see a star the caliber of Steph Curry get injured. But this does open the door for De'Aaron Fox to be back in the All-Star game, or to be in the All-Star game. But more importantly, James, I'm curious to get your thoughts as to what this might mean for the Golden State Warriors as they're fighting to keep themselves, get themselves back into that top 6 and solidify themselves as a playoff team. Steph's absence over the course of the next couple of weeks. Steph's absence again over the course of the next couple of weeks. What do you think this looks like for the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, he's their Mr. Everything. And without him, they can win games, but like Klay Thompson has to go back to being Klay Thompson. And I know he was really good in the month of January. He's going to have to be really good for the next 2 months. Like, I don't know exactly how long that injury is, but what a strange injury. Like I've covered basketball forever. I watch all kinds of sports. I know a lot about injuries because it's just part of the job. I'd never heard of what happened to him, and it's just a really, really strange injury. And I don't think, because of that, I don't think we have any idea how long he's going to be out. This is not something that happens typically to people, and sort of like a freak injury. Now, can they survive without him? Maybe, but like they weren't thriving with him. They weren't thriving this season. Like this has been a rough year for them, even when he was healthy early in the season. So I'm not sure who they're gonna be, but the Kings should be like this is an opportunity. You got to take care of the opportunity. You have to, it's just like we talk about with Davion when Fox is out, you need to step up and be the guy. Um, the Kings need to do that with the Pacific Division. They need to step up right now and say, okay, we're the dudes who are going to step through that window that just opened, and we'll see if they can do it.
Yeah,
They are 6-2 over their last 8 without Steph. So that's just worth pointing out. They did go on a little run. Yeah,
I remember that stretch. It was favorable schedule.
Over
sometimes that's all you need.
That's
is a favorable
over
schedule.
the last 2 seasons. They're 17-25 without Steph, but their most recent stretch they did play well without him. Now again, that's isolating a sample size because we can go back further. And the first 1, 2, 3, 4 games they played without Steph, they lost. They lost 6. They lost 5 of the first 6 that they played without Steph.
And you may have it up in front of you, right in front. But those wins, a lot of those wins, was on a nice little home stretch, right? Like
home versus Memphis, home versus Charlotte, home versus Utah, home versus Portland, home versus Atlanta.
Yeah, they can't win on the road with Steph Curry.
Then lost at home to Detroit and Orlando.
Yeah,
so
remember those two.
Figure that out.
Yeah, their big issue is they can't win on the road to save their life.
They really need him back by mid-March. Starting March 5th to March 22nd, they have 8 out of 10 on the road. And I agree, this is just not a good road team. And they're going to be in trouble. And they don't have the ability to go out and add a bunch of pieces at the deadline. Did we see that Weissman has asked for a trade? Was that something that happened?
I heard something. I was actually about to ask you.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, I think I was going to actually ask you about that.
Imagine the Warriors
and him.
I'm like, okay, bro, whatever.
I would. James, would you take a flyer on Wiseman or Moody?
Oh, the good old flyer. Moody? Oh, I love flyers.
Take a flyer.
I love flyers.
For sure, Moody. Weissman, maybe. I mean, like, look, if they'll take on a bad contract for a bad contract, then yeah. Like if I'm trading Rashawn Holmes for Weissman and Moody, okay. Like, why not? Why not get him in your gym and see what you can do with him? And I like Moody too. I'm not saying that they're going to do that. But what I'm saying is if desperate times call for desperate measures there, I think the Kings could figure out a way to alleviate a little bit of cap space from them. I don't know. I just think that the Kings also, they really do have their eyes set on like some very specific types of players around the league. And Moody would be one of those, the long athletic wing. But at the same time, he just hasn't been good. And Weissman just hasn't been good. And he hasn't been able to stay healthy and he hasn't developed. And you always have to worry that that's just not going to happen with him. We're not talking about, the Greg Oden situation where, they gave him an additional contract because when he did play, he was great. He just couldn't stay on the court. This is a player who just hasn't played. And that's a big deal. I mean, I feel bad for him because he's put in a no-win situation, being thrown on to basically a championship team, and also having injury issues to boot. But yeah, I mean, why not? He's still only 21 years old, and you would?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, I liked him a lot coming out of college. So maybe I'm slightly. I mean, he's owed $12 million next year. Which is, I think it's a team option, 9.6 this year. So again, you could do something like Holmes if they would be willing to take on the contract. And it would almost be like a wash for next season.
Well, James, you could be a big giant downer sometimes. So, so is it over? They got walloped by 30 last night. They lost to the Pacers. Buddy Hield's revenge. Is it all over? Is the ride over?
Yeah, the ride isn't over. This is what I tried to warn people about. There are going to be hiccups during the season. And I think the one thing that we probably learned over, I'd say a couple of things. We just learned over the last 2 games. Number one, we've probably undervalued how important De'Aaron Fox is to this team. Because we keep talking about, is Sabonis the most important piece? Is Malik Monk the most important piece? And this team, the last 2 games, looked like they were waiting for Fox to walk through the door at any time and save them, and he never did. And, that's a problem. The other thing I think I'm going to be ruthless here. You're looking at the trade deadline, and whether it's for now or whether it's for, the next couple of seasons or whatever, is backup point guard becoming as big a concern for you as backup center? Because it sure does seem like it's an issue. If you're going to run Davion Mitchell and you're going to run, Matthew Dellavedova for any length of time, if Fox misses any more time between now and the end of the season, you're just in trouble. And I don't know what the problem is there with Davion. He's been given an opportunity and he didn't take it. And, whatever the reason, again, I can't tell you. I just know that, like, when it's on the line and you need someone to step into that position, he just didn't do it. He wasn't able to come up, to rise up to the challenge. And if I'm them, it's one thing when you're playing him 8 to 12 minutes a night and he's almost like the de facto third, shooting guard, and Monk is playing the point. But you start to have better options if that's the case. I mean, you got guys like Keon Ellis that can play defense and can hit a wide open 3 and know their role and are willing to accept it. He might be a better fit to play alongside Malik Monk because of his defensive prowess and his ability to catch and shoot than Davion Mitchell. And so I think that this has been like a telling 2 days for Davion. And I would be slightly intrigued to see what the Kings' thought process is going into Thursday, and whether it's just been added to the list of, again, backup center, long athletic shot blocking 3-4 combo. And are you now thinking, okay, we might need to address this situation as well? And that's just me, but I'm just shooting straight. Like I watched the last couple of games in complete disbelief that there was a point where they had to take him off the court and not put him back on the court when they didn't have another option. And that was pretty startling.
Yeah, I don't know. And you're not alone. You are not alone. Trust me. There's a lot of people who feel the same way.
Michael Jackson said it.
You're not alone. Shout out Michael Jackson, man, a classic. I'm not going there with Davion just yet. Did he play well these 2 games? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no sugarcoating that. But number one, he's a backup point guard. He's a backup point guard. And as a backup point guard, you're going to have moments where you're going to, kind of help lead a team to victory, with what you do off the bench or in a spot start. And there's going to be other times when it's like, oh, yeah, this is why you're not a starter in this league. And I think that's what these last 2 games were. This is why you're not a starting point guard. You're more of a backup guy. But, I mean, I mentioned to Damian, I don't want to say single-handedly, but he's played a huge part in winning a couple of games. You talk about the Charlotte game, the way he played at Charlotte, the way he played there. At San Antonio, he played really well. His defense against Denver, his defense against Phoenix, his defense against Cleveland at home here in Sacramento. So he's had moments that are just as vital to the team's success as they were vital to the team's failures this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I would just respond with, like, look, he went into a game where he was the guy. He had every opportunity to be the guy. And who was a better player last night, him or Kyra Lewis? And, Kyra is a guy who can't get on the court in New Orleans, but you go up against a team where you're missing one starter and they're missing an all-star in Zion, a legit number 2 scorer in Brandon Ingram, their starting center in Valanciunas, and they just dominated you. And that's not all on him, but at the same time, you saw guys for that team step up. And that's where, like I keep saying, even if we go with your KZ Okpala 80% rule, right? the Kings need to figure out ways to get 20, 30% better at a couple of crucial positions right now. If this is who they want to be, if they want to be a 3rd seed, if they want to be a 4 seed, a 5 seed, they need to get better. And they don't have the depth that we thought that they did. And when we've seen big injuries happen, more often than not, they're the team that, really looks like the wounded team who's missing 1 starter against a team missing 3 starters. And that's just not going to fly. That's not how this thing works. They need players who can step up in the moment and not just play a role, but also be able to have something more that they can offer. And we're seeing a handful of players who just don't have that ability. And so, I think it's going to be a busy couple of days.
Nobody does, though. Nobody can afford that.
The Pelicans just stumped you.
Lost 10 in a row.
They lost 10 in a row, but they just came in and thumped you on the third game in 4 days. Back to back.
Just lost 10 in a row.
Yeah, but they were
Denver Book. They were losing to everybody.
Yeah. I get you, but at the same time, that team was on the 4th it was 3 games in 4 nights. The 4th night with the 3rd game on a back-to-back, and they absolutely destroyed you. And I mean, it just showed that who is going to step up when somebody big goes down. And we saw it with Sabonis where Rashawn Holmes stepped in and they were able to win a game. But man, if you lose 1 guard and everyone else on the team looks like they forgot how to play basketball for a night, it's really stunning.
But that's on everybody else on the team, Damian and James. That's not on we need new play. Kevin Huerter's got to play better.
Oh,
Harrison Barnes got to be better than 1 of 3. Keegan Murray hasn't hit a shot in the last 2 games. That's not on the people that you want to not you, but I'm just saying that people want to replace. These are the same guys that got you to this point, and these are starters. It's not Delhi's fault that they lost by 30 last night. It's Harrison, Huerter, and Murray, and along with Davion Mitchell. Sabonis didn't even play well last night. We moving on from him? They've got to be better as opposed to we need a better roster. They got to be better.
Well, I agree they have to be better, but you also need a better roster. You need both. Both can be true, man. Those guys have to be better. Again, you look at Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray's just clearly hit the wall. It wasn't. Oh no. You don't like the wall? You don't like the wall. Damian has left the building, for those of you who are not watching on the stream.
Damian's gone. We got to get a camera out there to see if he's hitting the gritty in front of Stacey's office. He went this way. James, before about an hour ago, we said somebody brought up Keegan Murray hitting the wall. And Damian was like, no, he ain't hitting the wall. The man just won Rookie of the Month, not only in January, but December. And he said, if Ham comes in here and says he hit the wall, I'm getting in my pickup truck and I'm out of here. And he's out of his word. He's out of here, unsolicited.
That's amazing. I'll tell you this. Look, there was a game where he was really good, and then the next game he wasn't really good. He was bad. And then the game after that, I started seeing him adjusting his shot mid-shot. And I'm like, oh no, what's happening? We're seeing a kid that he's just run out of gas, and you can call it a wall or you can call it whatever you want. But I'm just telling you, we see it time and time again. And for that matter, I think Kevin Huerter's hit a wall. Kevin Huerter's legs aren't there. And over the last 5 or 6 games, he's been bad. He's averaging 8.8 points. I think Keegan Murray came in last night averaging 26% from the field over his previous 4 games. It's just absolutely wild. So
can it just be a bad 4-game stretch? Might just be that.
I guess, but I mean, he's just looked lost. I mean, I've seen Sabonis once again, yelling at him, man, what are you doing? Why are you standing right next to me? Why are you not making the same cuts? Why aren't you circling around in the motion offense? What are you doing? And they keep calling timeouts. They keep having Mike Brown step on the court and coach him. He's getting beat off the dribble by slow-mo. There's a lot of things that you could look at where you're hey, and it's not 2 bad games. like people in Chatty House, he's had 2 bad games. No, Blake Harrison, he has not had 2 bad games.
He had like 3 bad games.
No, it's 5. It's 5 bad games, and yeah.
No, it's not 5 bad games. Man. Just last Monday, a week ago, in the overtime win against Minnesota, he went 13-13. 5 of 7 from the field, 3 of 8 from beyond the arc. Now that's not like an all-star game, but that's not a bad game. Game before that, he had 8 points. He's been horrendous in the 3 games since. In San Antonio, Indiana, and New Orleans, he is a combined 2 of 13, 2 of 21, if my math is correct, from the field in the last 3 games. He's been horrendous. But even when I look at those 3 games, he's just bricking shots. I don't think like he's getting wide open catch and shoot shots. He's just missing them. He's missing them at a terrible pace, but he's just bricking shots. That's all it is.
Okay, so I'll give you this. He's at 4 of the last 5 games he's been bad. But overall in his last 5 games, he's shooting 24.4% from the field, 20% from 3. He's averaging 5.6 points per game. The one good thing is he's not turning the ball over, and he's averaging 7 rebounds a game. But over that stretch, I mean, 24% from the field, 20% from 3, and that's not like a couple of shots. I mean, that's 24 threes, right?
Yeah,
so
no, I agree with you. He's played. We both agree, and there's no disputing. He has played terrible for the last 5 games. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. I just don't think it's like a wall. I think he's getting wide open looks, and he's just missing shots.
How many walls are there?
Well, for rookies, there can be multiple walls. I mean,
multiple walls.
I mean, when you get to the 30-game mark, when they usually would have ended their college, season, like 2 months earlier than their college season would have ended, you see a lot of players drag around game 35. And then sometimes you see them, especially, he hasn't been through this before where you're looking at like a week off coming. It's just right around the corner and your mind starts to slip towards, All-Star weekend and like getting away for a few days. He hasn't seen his brother. He said he's going to see his brother during the All-Star break. Like, he looks distracted and just a little off. And again, I'm not saying replace him, and I'm not saying replace Kevin Huerter, and I'm not saying Malik Monk or De'Aaron Fox or Sabonis or Harrison Barnes. But at some point, the rest of the team, they have to be able to step in and carry some of the load when you have a player go down or when somebody has an off night. And at this point, like, I think Terrence Davis has done a good job of like at least being potentially playable. But again, Trey Lyles has been that same way, but you need to make sure that the rest of your roster is ready to play. And it just doesn't feel like that's always the case. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the Kings always have first-round picks, and I always watch them slump at the same point. Look at Tyrese Halliburton last year. Yeah.
Hector says the beam has hit a wall. I have a theory.
The beam is a rookie.
The beam has hit the rookie wall.
There we go. You got a theory. Let's hear it.
Maybe they're just not playing good ball right now. Maybe it's that. Maybe there isn't some deep, 4-hour prognostication that we have to do here on ESPN 1320. Maybe they're just not playing good ball. Maybe they just got roughed up yesterday. Maybe they couldn't hit a shot worth a damn. Maybe Keegan isn't thinking about his brother or the All-Star break. He just can't shoot for crap right now. Maybe Kevin Huerter just decided, you know what? I'm not going to play defense tonight. Let's see how this goes. Harrison Barnes said, I'm going on strike. I'm not shooting tonight. Maybe they were just like, man, can't wait to see De'Aaron back here, and that's all they were thinking about the entire game. I have no idea. It's just we've done this probably 3, 4, 5 times this season. Now, if they don't respond tonight, I'll have a problem because the Rockets are not very. The Rockets are a 13-win team. If you come out like you did last night against this 13-win team, I'll have a far greater issue. We knew entering this road trip, this 7-game road trip, the Indiana Pacers and the New Orleans Pelicans were the 2 best teams they were going to play. It sucks that they lost both of them. I'm going to give them an opportunity to respond tonight. I'm going to give them an opportunity to respond here in just about 90 minutes. And James, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond as well. We'll come back. Want to get your thought on the Kyrie to Dallas stuff and how that may impact the Western Conference, if it impacts the Western Conference at all. And then we'll prepare for the Kings' third matchup against the Houston Rockets tonight when we return here with D'Lo Casey and James Ham on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. Oh, James, you have no idea how perfect that was.
That was great.
That was just beautiful. James isn't even listening to us.
Who's muted? He's muted.
I think James is. I think James is talking to Mrs. Ham, attorney at law.
No, young Mr. Ham came in. In the room. He needed keys to the car.
Oh man, hey,
he's got to go coach soccer.
This is cold, man. This is cold. I gotta shoot this to you guys. Oh, I ain't have to do this, man.
How was your weekend, Hammer?
It's just like littered with Kings coverage.
Yeah, not much time away. Where'd you send it?
On Twitter, man.
Oh.
This is cold.
Lake Show, I did know that Willem Dafoe was in John Wick.
Oh, come on, man.
Where'd you send it?
It's on Twitter.
That's not okay.
Check your ear. Hang on.
Yo.
That's out of pocket. I think I could put that on the screen. Hang on, James.
Why'd they do that, man?
I think Kyler got taller.
That's just uncalled for.
That's cold, man.
I'm gonna put this on the stream so they're not.
Oh, that's amazing.
My favorite one is when it's like pregame for a Celtics game or whatever. It's like, oh, Isaiah Thomas is out there and it's his son out there.
That's spectacular.
Well, you can't look at the actual tweet. That's terrible.
Kyla.
Oh man, hey, internet. I swear, man, I don't like the internet. I really don't. I really don't.
My man, getting it. You are not. Don't. These kids are not supposed to be lifting weights that young, man. What are we doing?
Not at all.
That's terrible.
That is terrible. I mean, talk about just destroying a young kid's knees.
It's just their bodies are not developed for that.
Mm-hmm.
No. Kevin Porter Jr. isn't playing tonight, right? Maybe I didn't look. I probably should.
Update. I forgot to update. We should talk about De'Aaron, or we should talk about the injury report and what that means.
Yeah. That's been a long couple of days of. Kevin Porter Jr. is out, left foot contusion.
Who's the backup point guard? Let me think. Don't say it. Backup PG is Josh Christopher.
No.
They got another one too, but Josh Christopher is. They look him as a combo guard. Who's the other backup point guard? There's somebody.
They don't have Dacian Nix.
I like coming out of the G League Ignite. Might end up being a good ball player.
Yeah, let me see. Who do they have playing?
James, you get your Beyonce pre-sale tickets?
Unfortunately, I missed out on that. Oh, Ty Washington.
Ty. I like Ty too.
Yeah.
The ball player. He dropped somebody crazy in the G League a couple of weeks ago. Just dropped him, stood there, let him lay on the ground, then hit the three. I don't think Ty was here in Sacramento, though.
Why do I think that is possible that he was there? I mean, we're also going to get to see Jabari Smith Jr., who, of course, will make an all-star team before De'Aaron Fox for some reason. But
gosh.
Ben. He's going to replace
He did the Maury Povich walkout. Wow.
that was
Montrell Williams walkout. Yeah.
That was as good as it gets right there.
Oh, it was beautiful.
I was homesick from school the day that the original Geraldo Rivera fight happened.
Oh
I was
man, I don't remember
watching.
the original. I
Was
just
that the Nazi?
It
Yeah.
got wild. Like there were chairs
hit
being
with a chair in the nose.
flung. Ronaldo, I mean, Geraldo broke his nose. Yeah.
Oh. Well, as we
Uh,
learn later. Ah, well.
oh, good. Garrison Matthews is out. He was not out on the injury report that I just looked at, unless I just omitted it from my mind when I mean, I did look at it. It's possible through his people. He's questionable, but like it's possible like they ruled him out for some other reason.
Somebody just showed a plate of waffles. Now I want some.
You guys waffles or French toast people?
Squirrel.
Bad call.
No, I'm
Stop
waffles.
it.
I'm waffles over French toast.
Pancakes suck though, right?
No, absolutely not.
Most pancakes aren't good.
No, that's absolutely
I
not.
went to this diner in Baltimore. Man, oh man, they gave up. They gave so much food.
Me and Sean Cunningham and Jason Jones and Sam Amick went to Roscoe's in LA one time together.
Hang on,
Had chicken and waffles.
hang on, Ham. Can't lie, I do kind of want to hear the end of the story. James Ham had just said before the commercial break ended, what was it? Was it Sam Amick, Sean Cunningham, and James Ham walk into a Roscoe's? Now I just need to know how this story ends.
And Jason Jones. And Jason, yeah. So Jason
okay.
Jones, Sean Cunningham, and Sam Amick, we all went to Roscoe's. It was good. Like I had never really done chicken and waffles before. I think that's where like the diabetes like got its start is from Roscoe's waffles and syrup. But yeah, I thought it was delicious, and we went to the donut place there in LA too. It's like Frank's Donuts or something. And I have a picture of Sean like holding the donut, the giant
It's
donut
Randy's,
above
isn't
his
it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Randy's
it's
done.
Randy's. Okay, yeah. Whatever it is. Yeah, we went there too. Yep.
You know me. I need that Obama special, number 9. Formerly known as the country boy, but I'm taking the number 9. Give me three chicken wings and 1 waffle. I get eggs on the side. That's all I need in life.
That's it, huh? Nothing else? Because a minute ago, this all started because Kenny saw a picture of a pancake.
No,
And
I
now
saw it was waffles.
Oh, it was a picture of a waffle. And I go, oh yeah, because it was Jesse in there slandering pancakes.
That was uncalled for. Went too far.
I had McDonald's hotcakes this weekend. Like our oldest likes to
Rich.
he likes to make the wife like get up on the weekends and usually one day they'll go to Starbucks or they'll go to McDonald's, and they always call like, what do you want? So I had an egg McMuffin, hash brown, and then I'm like, you know what? Some hotcakes sound good. Had some hotcakes. I only had about half of them.
It's
Are
just
they?
expensive.
All right.
Everything's expensive now, man.
It's true.
Yeah.
Eggs. How eggs gonna be expensive, man? Come on, man.
I
Come
was like,
on.
where are eggs $9? And then I went to the store. Oh, here. They're
Everywhere.
Oh,
Here.
man.
They're
Now the world is just making it. What script is this? Just making up random.
We had the breakfast spot by our house. They stopped serving breakfast. They said, "Look, we've been like biting it on the breakfast on egg prices for the last couple of months, and we just can't do it now. So we're not going to serve breakfast."
Wow.
Yeah, like they can't get them from their suppliers. It's like for a stack, like the five like not dozen, but like the case with 5 layers is like $82. They're like, we can't afford like,
Good
yeah.
Lord, man.
Wow.
Yep.
My goodness. Well, I don't want the Kings to play basketball if they can't play without De'Aaron Fox. So we know that De'Aaron Fox is not on the injury report for tonight's game. Is it safe to assume we're going to see 5 in uniform tonight at 5?
Yeah, he's gonna be there. Almost guarantee he starts. Ready to roll. Yeah, back from personal reasons. And that's something. I don't get it. Why are there fans that are freaking out because De'Aaron Fox has a personal issue and they don't know what the personal issue is, or no one will confirm what the personal issue is? So they got to freak out on Twitter
It's
and
ridiculous.
on social media and get into it with like De'Aaron Fox's wife. Like, what is going on here,
It was
people?
really like one person who just popped off at the mouth a little bit, and I mean,
I
I'm
had,
sure there are other people who are in
yeah,
those mentions, but that all escalated because uh, De'Aaron's wife was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna have any of this," and decided to respond to him, and which was probably the greatest moment of his life.
Mhm.
And he just kept that conversation going before he deleted his account, and then I think he started another one. It was an interesting night on Twitter. I was just trying to watch the Grammys. That's all. I was just trying to sing the praises of Beyonce, but every time I opened Twitter, this conversation just kept going and going. So I excuse myself from that. But the point is, I think it's just there are always entitled fans out there, and I think that's ultimately what it boils down to: is an entitled fan.
That was
yeah,
embarrassing.
it was. I don't get it though. Like, if
Who
there's
and
a
they can hide behind the veil of social media where they
Yeah.
don't have to say who they are or what their name is, and they can hide behind their little account that they created 2 hours ago.
It
Sorry.
was a thrift store guy. Yeah,
Right.
that's who really got. Yeah, that was pretty brutal. And he was in my mentions long before that. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, and why are people tracking how many days he's missed because of the potential birth of a child? We don't have anything confirmed, but like the potential, like we all know that his wife is pregnant. So why are people freaking out? Like,
Mhm.
Domantas Sabonis missed a game or two. Like, people miss games. Like, they're like, oh well, I know that. Like, Gordon Hayward he didn't miss a game. It's like, well, how many kids does he have? First of all, how many did he miss with the first kid? And like, it's just ridiculous. Like, if these players are actual human beings, they're not like video game things that you get to get angry about. And to me, it's just like, it's really strange. Like, when a player continues to miss time for personal reasons, then we have to dig deeper. But I think we all know what was going on here. I mean, I remember James Johnson missed a month because his girlfriend had a preemie baby. Like, he missed a month. Like, these things happen. Like, they're real people. George Hill, God bless his heart, he lost 3 family members in the first half of the season while he was with Sacramento. Like, things happen. He was at funerals. Like, it is what it is. Like, he's got to be somewhere else. So I hope that fans like grow up and get off of that weird train. I just don't understand it. Like,
And then, and I'll jump in front of Kings fans. I know you're not coming at Kings fans, James, but I would like
yeah,
to personally say that it's not Kings fans. It's a couple of jackasses who are on Twitter. And one of the hardest things in the world, trust me, I know, is to ignore jackasses on Twitter sometimes. You know what I mean? And it'll be one, maybe two people who will tweet you over and over and over again. And a couple times, in life, I'll respond. But more times than not, you just kind of ignore them. You just kind of move on because, like you said, Damien, that made his day, that made his life, that he was able to get a response from the Foxes, and you just can't give him no satisfaction. But I really think, in general, it was a few Kings fans who are jackasses, and you don't pay them no mind.
yeah. I just block them. That's what I do. Like, just
They gotta see all the blessings I get in life. they got to see what my God has done for me. You ain't getting blocked. You're gonna see what's going on in this life. I just ain't gonna respond to you.
yeah. I would prefer that they have to go follow someone else for their coverage. Like, you go ahead. That's fine. I don't care. You go find someone else to cover that covers a team that you like. It's fine.
Well, all that matters is it appears De'Aaron Fox is back tonight and will go. And we saw what a different team they look like without De'Aaron. But James, and I'm sure there's a psychological boost. There's a motivational boost. There's something mentally here with De'Aaron Fox being back. But I'm going to need to see an overall better effort than I did last night. Like, we know that this team isn't a great defensive team, and that's okay. Like, we've settled on that. And no move made between now and Thursday is going to make them a great defensive team. But they're a whole hell of a lot better defensively than what we saw yesterday. So if it's simple as refocusing after today's film session or whatever it may be, It's great that De'Aaron is back. I believe that's a catalyst to a lot of great things that are going to happen. But this team needs to be better on the defensive end.
Yeah, they the team started to show signs of something different, and we were watching them grow and start to do this, like playing the passing lanes and being aggressive. Yeah, that died quickly. Yeah, it got ugly out of nowhere. They've got to figure out a way to play it like straight up all season long. I mean, there's 82 games. If you can't play defense in at least half of them, you're gonna lose a lot of games. And the fact that they can't get better, like at some point we have to stop expecting like this team to do something that they're not capable of. And that's where I'm of the opinion that like you can go out and get better defensive players that could help you defensively. They're not going to fix everything, but if you start replacing one player X with player Y, who knows? You know, you might find a way to improve by leaps and bounds if you stop having these holes in parts of your rotation. And so I would expect them again. I think that they're going to be aggressive. I don't know. Monty's told me specifically, hey, I'm not going to make a move just to make a move. I don't think we're in that position. He's like, but at the same time, we understand where we are. We understand that we need to get better, that the roster isn't done. And that's something that I think he'll take into between now and Thursday. They've got that $4 million trade exception that I think expires tomorrow. So like that's one chip that they've got to work with. It's either tomorrow or Wednesday. So either they can use that or they can just use, $4 million contracts, but or $10 million contracts, but like they need to make a couple of adjustments here to help them get over the hump. And I'll say this too, the starters and the rotational guys, the 7 or 8 guys that we talk about all the time, they've done enough to earn that. They've done enough to show that they're legit and that their GM needs to go get them some help here at the deadline. Because clearly they can't do everything. There are certain things that this group of players cannot. They're not physically capable of doing, but that can be addressed at the deadline. And this is just like I compared it to a baseball team. You get to the stretch run, you need a fifth starter, you need another bat in the outfield, you need a couple of setup guys to get you to your closer. That's where we're at right now. The Kings need to go address some of these needs that they have between now and the deadline.
James, I understand that, but the starters were terrible yesterday.
Oh no, they were terrible.
Like
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm not gonna disagree with that. The starters were absolutely horrible. But to go back to Kenny's point, like this is a group that's got you 6 games over 500. They need the other pieces to finish this thing off. And there's going to be certain nights where they have off nights, and they need someone else to step up and fill a role that's not just, remember early in the season when Terrence Davis had that 33-point night, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's so few and far between where they have that. Every once in a while, Trey Lyles can go for 20, but they need that secondary guy that if you need it, you can get something like, what was it? Was it Trey Mann that went off for 30 last night? Kyra Lewis going, putting up 11 points. Like you're playing teams that have these other options that you just don't have right now. And even the shot blocking thing or the rebounding thing, like you can find players that can help this team.
Trey Murphy went off for 30 and virtually
Trey Murphy didn't miss.
Virtually everyone else in a Pelicans uniform went off also.
Yeah. Now,
somewhere Zion Williamson was getting buckets last night.
I'll say this. James is correct. I agree with James. I agree with a lot of people who say, hey, you got to get better. You got to get better. But if the things that James said need to happen actually happen, they'd probably be the Boston Celtics. There's a reason why Boston is who they are, right? The Kings they're not going to, that's not going to happen.
Like what's that you're referring to?
Like if the starters aren't playing well, and he wasn't talking about just this, but Terrence Davis is going to hit 31. Trey Lyles is going to hit 24. Or Davion, if Fox is down, is going to come in and he's going to score 17 points, something like that. It's not going to happen more times than not. Or it's going to be inconsistent. That's why they are who they are. If that didn't happen, they'd be one of the best teams in basketball. Just because that doesn't happen, and I'm not saying you're saying this, James, or Damon, or anybody else, doesn't mean they don't have enough to achieve goals, right? They don't have enough. Like, I think without a move, James, they got enough to be top 6. Without a move. I don't think they're falling out of the top 6. Without a move, depending on the matchup, I think they can win a series in the playoffs. And that may be where the ceiling is for this team without a move. If they make a move, if they want to do more, yeah, maybe they need a move. I don't know if there's a move to be made that's going to get them past that ceiling. Like, I don't know if that's going to happen. But as is, I think they could be top 6 and potentially win a playoff series.
Yeah, okay.
Move to do that.
I agree with a lot of what you say. And I'm going to circle one word in what you kept saying there, and it's think. I think. I would rather know. And what I mean by that is, if you think you can get there with this group, but you know you can get there if you add this piece and this piece and this piece, I want to see it. Go do it, because this is a moment where, like, the difference between being in the playoff picture and out of it is so incredibly slim that, like, we think right now, because they've been a number 3 seed for a certain amount of time, that they're a really, really good team, and that they're a playoff team. Like, these things get tight in the last 25 games of the season. Like, if you have holes in your roster, try to like, I'm not saying fix them long term. If you can, do that. But, like, you need to do some patchwork here and make sure that you can hold together through the final 30 games of the season, 25 games of the season, and continue to make this run. And give yourself not just, like, you think that they might be able to win a playoff series, but, like, there are pieces out there that would make you feel like, oh, I know we can win a playoff series. And that's where I would be. Like, you can take the slow approach and hope that the next year they take the big leap and the year after. But then we start factoring other things like the Harrison Barnes situation and everything else, like, all of these free agents that they have, that most of which won't be back. And can they go sign someone else? Can they bring in someone else? Can they find a mystical draft pick and, pick 15 through 25? We start getting into way too many questions. Like, I would rather have a really good idea of what I had right now and push forward with that if you can. Like, make improvements if you can. That's all.
Sure.
And maybe that's the bigger issue is maybe Mike doesn't exactly know what he has here, or maybe he doesn't like exactly what because I think Malik is pretty reliable. I think Malik is kind of the anchor of that second unit. And Trey really is. If Malik is anchoring one side, I think Trey Lyles is anchoring the other. Everything else has just been well, let's try Temezi. Let's try Rashawn. Okay, this is Terrence's week. Okay, it's not Terrence's week now. It's a constant in and out and who we're going with. And now, because you had a solid performance from Keon Ellis in a game where everybody just wanted the buzzer to expire, we talk about challenge flags. There needs to be a white flag that you just pull out of your back pocket and throw it onto the court, and the game is instantly over and everybody leaves. Because that's what last night's game was. And while I am absolutely anxious to see Keon Ellis play, I put very little stock in what we saw last night. Loved what we saw. It is it's NBA minutes on an NBA floor with NBA players. There's good stuff from Keon Ellis. Mm-hmm. James, I can't put much more to it in it. I can't put much more in it than that.
Oh, no, I totally agree. Yeah, like, I totally agree. We can't just, like, start penciling in or writing him in a pin for the final 28 games of the season. He's going to play, 18 minutes a night. Like, I'm not saying that at all. Like, but I will tell you this, that, like, his profile of what he does on the court, he is a long, super athletic, super quick defender. He fights through screens really well. He hits his 3-point shots. He plays off the ball. That's not who he is today. It's who he was all through college. And so, like, his profile is still the same. He's still a guy that can give you things that you need. as far as this particular team. He's just not ready. Like I'm not saying throw Keon Ellis out there, and that's where it's like, look, you got a guy like KZ Okpala, and he can't even get on the court, right? And he has the one skill that you need, the defensive, mindset that you need. Well, he's got to be able to do more than just one thing, and so that's where I'm hoping that they make moves not just to make moves, but moves because it makes your team better. And that's what Monty has shown me every step of the way. Even his first trade deadline, where he came out of it with Wright, with TD, and with why am I drawing a blank?
Right, Terrence Davis and Mo Harkless.
Yeah, Mo Harkless. Like he improved the team right there. Even 3 moves like that right now this year, and I'm not saying those players and those positions, 3 moves like that sure up positions on your court, that would make me feel more confident with this team being a, not just a top 3 seed, but like a top 6, a team that I think will be there in the end. Because I just keep looking at they're now pacing for like 46 wins, 47 wins. That's not where a 3 seed usually lands. And to be honest, there are seasons where an 8 seed has 47, 48 wins as like the low point of getting into the playoffs. This team needs to be better.
I'll let you guys know when I'm concerned about them not making the top 6. It ain't today.
It's not today for me either.
No.
Not today. Last night sucked. Friday kind of sucked too. But that's
their best player.
That's it. And even if De'Aaron had played last night, it still wouldn't have been.
No, they would have got beat up last night. Friday they would have won though.
We never to get like Fox is an all-star. Like if Curry can't play, I'm just gonna go. I'll go back and find the quote. I'll go back and find the quote. But I'll tell you, Adam Silver at one point said, "We put this guy in the All-Star game because he was next on the list."
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox is next on the list. Anthony Davis is also, if it's forwards, is next on the list. But as far as guards, next on the list is De'Aaron Fox. And he used that, I believe it was with Goran Dragic years ago when he chose Dragic over DeMarcus Cousins. He said he was next on the list. And it's like, okay, peace. I want to see it this time.
Is that the cumulative thing that we saw, or
yes, it's the cumulative.
It has nothing to do with the coaches, then. Okay.
No, it's a cumulative thing. I mean, he's next on the list in the cumulative, and everyone knows that. And he should be an all-star. We shouldn't start hashing out whether Ant-Man did enough in the last week and a half to beat him and get into the all-star game over him. No, that's not the
De'Aaron absolutely deserves the all-star nod. Anthony Edwards believes that De'Aaron Fox deserves the all-star nod. But I also wonder if what happened over the course of the last couple of days actually happened for De'Aaron, if he wouldn't be perfectly happy just being at home for a week.
There's that too.
That's just a guess. But I'm also confident he would like the accolade of being named an all-star because he deserves it, and that's the type of season that he has had. But that's something that won't be ruled on for a while. James, we appreciate you as always. Make sure you head over to thekingsbeat.com, become a premium subscriber over there. You can catch up on the newsletters and the podcast and all of that great stuff.